Okay, and we should be live. So if somebody out there can give us something in the chat, um, that you can hear us, that'd be fantastic. Um, so I think we got probably another long one today, right? um, I know we like to talk, and so we're going to talk about XP, and obviously that ties into leveling mechanics and whatnot. And man, I started looking into some of this, and I mean, I've played a big handful of systems with different kind of level up mechanics and things, XP and things. You start looking at it, there's a lot of little stuff that changes here and there, and a lot of things that a lot of different systems that do things a little bit different, and it's really interesting. Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you, Noodle. Um, so I will probably jump all over the board comparing some of these systems and whatnot. Um, but the first thing I just want to make sure that we're kind of all on the same page with the definition. And so I wrote down that XP experience is a mechanism for tracking character progression, right? Is that pretty much what everybody thinks on that?
Yeah, that works for me. Yeah.
Kind of a uniform kind of thing. So, hey, Death Angel, what's up tonight? So obviously, to start off, right, there's the standard level based progression, and that's what's used, D&D, Shadow Dark, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and like just about I think every single game that's considered OSR or OSR adjacent or whatever, for the most part. And I personally like a level based progression. I know that some people don't like it because it's you get everything all at once. All of your skills go up, or in general, right? Like you get all your hit points and all your skills and all your things happen like one time. At stuff there. There's a shout out for Decado there from Death Angel. And Tenkar's listening. Good to have you.
Yeah, no kidding. Hi, Tenkar. Jeez.
I know we got a pro in the audience now.
We're rarefied air now.
We got to try and be really professional about things, right?
That's right.
But yeah, and I know a lot of people don't like the level based progression stuff or the way that that D&D does it, per se. But I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy the older systems that have separate XP charts for different for the different classes. I really think that is, Gary did that right for a reason of, hey, let's have separate progressions because at different levels or whatever it means different things. And so you might have a fighter that's level 5 or 6 that's equivalent to like a level 7 or 8 rogue. I don't remember exactly where the tables line up, but
yeah, I agree. But I think it depends on the system. Like 5e was kind of balanced. Like everybody had like an equal strength all across the board.
Yeah.
I think 3.5 didn't it also?
Yeah, 3.5 started that.
Really wizards.
Yeah.
WotC, all the character progression is kind of level, so everybody it's $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever. So yeah, it depends on the system.
Yeah. And I think, like, for 3.5 anyway, which, I played a lot of, so some of the issue with that was they didn't change the power level at all.
Mhm.
Like the wizard still got spells at certain levels and whatnot. Whereas in an older edition of the game, at that point, a thief might be level 9 and a wizard would be, a couple levels behind or a level or two behind. And again, I don't have the chart in front of me, but something like that where it would make up that difference. And I think the fighter was like the baseline, right, for most of those charts, and I think that's what carried over into what they used for third edition, I guess. And I mean that made it easier, right, for to go into like milestone and things like that. I'm not a big fan of milestone leveling because it's a whole, like, if somebody only shows up and they put in, you know if they're only there for 3 sessions or whatever, they miss a session or whatever, then they show up the next session. It's like, hey, everybody's level 7 now or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
certain people earned it.
When I ran my game online, that one online game I ran, I tried Milestone. We were playing 5e, and for that, I was like, oh, I'll try Milestone. I didn't like it. And I also wouldn't do that. So I still had people at different levels because I'm like, if you haven't been here, you're not leveling.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting. And I see some people trying to fix Milestone by saying, like, okay, like every session you get, a quarter of the way to the next level or a sixth of the way or whatever the thing is, right?
But then use experience points at that.
Right, at that point you might as well just use a regular experience system. But it's interesting. Morkborg uses milestone leveling. They don't call it that, but they say, when and Joe, you've run a lot of Morkborg stuff, and I don't remember the exact wording, but it says something like when the players have faced like an appropriate enemy or have overcome a big challenge or something like that. Hey George, welcome to the party.
Hey everybody.
What do you think? Does that look a little bit better? I don't know. So yeah, we're talking about XP and leveling and stuff, George. We just kind of basically covering the basics so far. Nothing major, but how do you feel about milestone leveling, George?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
You don't mind it, really?
No.
You're the only one. We were just all crucifying it. So
that is not true.
No, I'm not a big fan personally. I don't like it personally, but
and what is your definition of milestone? That you complete a quest and at 25,000?
Yeah, at certain levels. Yeah. So my definition of milestone leveling would be when you when the GM feels appropriate, generally at a time where you fought a big bad or just before you're going to fight a big baddie or you reach a certain point, the GM says, okay, everybody level to, level 5 or whatever before this, this thing, or we got to this point in the game. And so everybody kind of has the same kind of level at that point.
Yeah. It depends on the game for me.
Sure.
The one game I'm running right now for my campaign world, I've been leveling up the PCs. Usually the rogue is a level ahead. So I just, so the levels are like 5, 4, 4, and 3. And, that's pretty well based upon how much time everyone's playing.
Sure.
And I just try to compensate for, the levels and how much XP and playing they've done.
Sure.
I think with a more robust game, and back in the day, we did a lot more XP based upon your participation and things like that.
Sure. And I guess maybe part of it for me is is if I had a group, right, that would show up every week, you know, like it wouldn't be so bad to say, hey, everybody gets, you know, everybody's going to be the same level or whatever at this point.
Yeah.
But you get sometimes where people are out for like a few weeks or whatever, and it's kind of like a feel bad thing where, you know, hey, you know, we did all the work for this, you know, major quest or whatever, and you know, so why do they get, you know, some of the XP, you know, or whatever, you know, however that works out. So that's why I kind of like a traditional XP system where I could say, hey, here's a bunch of XP and it gets split evenly, and then. You know, and then the way I do it with the gold, they just split the gold, and then this way it's every week. You know, everybody has their same amount, you know, an equal share, you know, or you know.
Yeah. So why does gold equal XP?
Well, so originally, Gary decided that I guess Gary and Dave, right, decided that they needed a motivator for. You know, for players, and they said, well, what do we want players to do? You know, and they said, well, we want them to go out and go into these dungeons, right, and you know, possibly fight some dragons or whatever. And I think without that, you know, without saying, hey, you know, the XP for gold makes it so that the players kind of naturally want to say, hey, let's go out and let's go into this dungeon and let's go, you know, let's go clear the orc cave and see what treasures they have, or things like that. I think it keeps the players wanting to delve deeper into things. Otherwise, I think they would just all stay home. All the adventurers would just say, hey, well, we don't want to go in there, or there could be a trap, and you know, I could die or something, you know.
I just always felt it was a very arbitrary method, you know.
Really?
Yeah. Like I would, you know, it's like making the argument that the amount of damage that you do should give you XP. It's just taking one number and relating it to another on a one-to-one basis.
That's interesting, George. That's interesting. I know you just threw that out there.
Yeah,
but that's an interesting concept.
Well, up until people... the wizard learns Fireball.
Well, yeah, right. But the wizard needs more XP to level up.
You start doing that, and every time Andrew goes to cast Fireball, I will step in front of him. Like, oh, I didn't know.
I remember those games or something similar. We used to have the rogue who would sneak to the back of the treasure room, and the wizard who would be like, oh, I didn't know you were back there when I fireballed it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's where the XP for gold thing, you know, comes from. And in my game, we've kind of talked about before, I make them purchase XP for gold, and that basically counts as, you know, training cost or donated it to the temple or whatever. And they, you know, carousing, or it's kind of an all encompassing thing.
Yeah. I would think that the spending of gold creates experience.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, some of them have a thing where you have to be able to get it back to the town before it actually counts.
Oh yeah.
I've never really done that, but
yes. No, you got it. You got to do that. You got to do that because you know that if they've got like a huge chest of gold that they're dragging back,
4.5 tons of gold.
Yeah, 4.5 tons of gold or whatever. like it's going to be a process of them getting back. It takes longer, so you're going to roll random encounters, and then if you get, you know, the orc tribe that shows up, or, you know, because they're going through the orc lands, they show up and say, oh, hey, these guys got like a ton of gold, right? Maybe word gets out. Hey, here's a group of, you know, 5 guys, like they're hardened, but hey, you know, they've got all this gold. Maybe we should ambush them, you know, and now, you know, now they got to try and, you know, get that back, you know? Yeah. Tenkar. Earlier editions of D&D are about resource management. Carry gold is part of that equation. So that's, you know, part of the carrying capacity. And on that, Eric, you know, what kind of Jason's referring to is, we had a frost giant keep, I believe it was, right, and the players came across. It was like a 250,000 gold pieces or something.
We rolled exceptionally well on the treasure table because
it was ridiculous.
At the end of every encounter, Roger has the table roll for loot. You roll percentile die, you roll a d7 or whatever, and the gold. I think we maxed it out, and then we got crazy good rolls that night.
Yeah, it was crazy, and so the party spent. Like, I think we figured out it took 4 weeks to get back or something.
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4. It was a long.
Yeah,
and we were like, okay, fine, we'll drag it.
Yeah, and just to get it back, and I rolled I rolled really crappily on random encounter rolls and stuff coming back. So they ended up getting it back, but they blow through time that way, which that's a bonus for me because that's time that. Ticks on the clock for, the evildoers, plans, so that's kind of an interesting concept. So I think that's pretty much where the XP for gold thing comes from. You don't do that, George, in your games? I guess CNC doesn't really allow it, or not that they don't allow it, but they don't have it written in there, do they?
For what? I'm sorry.
Get gold for or XP for gold.
I don't.
XP for gold.
Do they have it in CNC? Is that a rule?
Yeah. I'm sorry, they do. I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I do it. The 1 gold for 1 XP I was doing before we converted to CNC, so I wasn't sure if it was in there.
They do XP for magic items too.
They do, yeah, and I just do because I'm making them buy it. I don't really do that. So eventually they'll be able to sell magic items, but yeah.
Dragon Slayer doesn't have any XP for magic items. I don't think OSE does either.
Oh, interesting. But they both do for gold, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yes.
So does anyone give gold on an individual basis? XP on an individual basis.
Good. I
do. So I'll go by the CNC charts for the monster XP, and if the players are creative enough to avoid monsters or to get through it without having to kill them all, I'll generally give the monster XP to them anyway. But and it's very rare in this game that I'll give out XP for completing objectives, mostly because I want to push the going out and getting treasure type of thing.
I was going to say that when George was saying he doesn't do gold for experience, the times that I play with him, he does not give out experience for gold, but he does give out not milestone experience. Actually, that's you don't milestone level that I can recall, but you do milestone experience. You resolve this encounter, whether it means killing all the orcs or making the count happy.
Sure.
Here's 1,000 experience points.
Here's 1,000 experience. Absolutely. Yeah.
So they balance out. They either way works. I don't have probably one of them.
Yeah.
In the past, a lot of times there was a story XP, completing the overall storyline or arc, whatever you want to call it. There was also, I used to award character or players, whatever, characters, players, XP for, it was very simply playing their character. Okay. And
yeah,
this was a tricky area because it's something that you're doing as your character. You may know the right answer as a player, and you're still doing something as your character. And that used to get good XP. And, I think the important part about that was not being difficult with the rest of the party. You could be difficult, but not to the point where you're a hindrance to the party.
Right.
Sure.
killing the last prisoner may not be the good thing, and you want to kill him, but you do listen to the party and you won't do it or something in the end, or that negotiation.
In first edition, there's the thing about the grading. So when you go to level up, like the DM is supposed to keep track of like whether you're playing to your class or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a rating of A, B, C, D, or E, I believe. And then in order to level up, I think it's 1,000 gold times that modifier. So if it's an A, it only costs you 1,000 gold in training and 1 week to level up. But if you've got like an E rating or whatever, it costs you 5,000 gold to level up, and then another. It takes you 5 weeks, to get a level, and that's like if the rogue isn't playing the part, the part that they're supposed to, or like they're not doing the things to their class. I don't exactly agree with that. I understand the concept and where it's coming from. I don't like the idea of a penalty for that, but maybe a bonus, would be in order for playing the class.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of correlates to what you were saying, George. I think a little bit different, but.
And I think the important part there in what you said is, I think the best thing is to give a bonus, not a penalty.
Right.
Nobody wants the penalty. Whether you're
right.
using a weapon or something, not the penalty, but the bonus.
Yeah. Right. Give bonuses, not penalties. No, I agree with that. Because that's like a feel bad moment or whatever when the GM has to give somebody like an E rating and say, yeah, sorry, your training is going to cost 4 weeks, 4,000 more and 4 weeks more to level up.
To me, an XP system like that, it would require the most impartial of impartial DMs.
Sure.
And that would require, and
Sure.
also that would you would need a lot of trust between the players and the DMs. I'm trying to cut down on my segues. I promise I won't do it again after this one. When I lived in Mississippi,
No one believes you.
Probably true. When I lived in Mississippi, the 1/4 edition campaign that I played in, I played with 3 college kids. They all knew each other, and they were frenemies at best. And whoever was DMing, man, it was like they just they took turns screwing each other over. And I couldn't, like, man, I never understood how they could play with each other like that. And so if you had an A through E system, they'd be like, oh, Jason, you played a Ranger, you're doing great. Well, yeah, I love playing a Ranger, so I'm going to play it really well. Joe, you played a monk and you played him like a douchebag, so you get a rating of E. And that's exactly what those guys would do to each other. So, man,
that doesn't sound fun.
It wasn't fun, man. It was so uncomfortable, dude. I did not play with those guys for very long. I think maybe 5 sessions, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
It's interesting though, because I think that system there, the rating system, I think that's what really leads into some of the more modern systems, like with Dragonbane, or what's the other one with the like Dungeon World, or any of the PBTA games where you get questioned of like, hey, did you complete this goal? Did you I forget the exact questions in PBTA.
I think a lot of, because like you just held up Vesson. I think a lot of Free League does that.
Almost every Free League game I've played does that.
Yeah,
I haven't played them all, but I've played a bunch.
It's almost like the rating system, except the players are doing it to themselves, which I think is a more feel better than like a GM saying, no, you didn't play your character properly, or something.
But also it's those questions are yes or no. Did you employ your character's weakness, like in Dragonbane? If you're playing the Wolven, the starter kit, he's a glutton. He's always eating, and so if the guy playing him is like, I'm going to take a break and, I'm going to eat this sheep right here, then cool. You're totally doing that. So, the yes or no questions, I think anybody can grade that. It's in my opinion, you didn't play your bard correctly.
Right.
Who are you to tell me how to play my bard?
I know when we've played, because I've run Dragonbane, I've played a lot of it, and usually we do all of that together, and it's almost like it's pretty much becomes like a group discussion.
Yeah,
I'll be like, oh, did you, like, especially the weakness one, because the other ones kind of fit everybody, like all the questions. They're like a group question almost. And then, but that weakness one is like, oh, and people will ask like, oh, what's your weakness? And I'm like, I'm foolhardy, or I just rush in, and they're like, oh shit, you did plenty of that, So it's not so much like one person being like, nah, you didn't really do it. The way we do it anyway, it's almost like a group thing. And it's usually painfully obvious if you didn't do it, and even the players like, oh yeah, no, I didn't really do that.
And and with a system like that, I don't want to jump ahead because I know we're going to get into specific systems.
Sure.
But like Dragonbane, I think you automatically get like 2 or 3 rolls to try and enhance your character. But if you follow the strictures of the system, it's like my weakness. Like the first thing I do is pick the character sheet up whenever I play at a con. What is my weakness? Because I want to make sure that I do this, because that's 1 extra D20 I get to roll at the end of the game. So it's a positive reinforcement of playing.
Yeah, it's kind of like a role play prompt too. Like,
yes,
play out that weakness. See where you can work it into the game. It's kind of like, I know this will be a little bit off topic, but this was mentioned, I think, in the last one, or maybe I think it was actually when you and I were hanging out, Roger, and we were talking about Dragonbane and the push and rolls and stuff. And the way I look at that, because you take a condition every time you do it.
Yep.
And I like that because, one, it also it's a role play prompt. It's like, well, okay, because in my groups that play Dragonbane, the default is always we go right to angry. Everybody just go. The first one you push is you're angry, and but then there also comes the question is like, well, what are you angry? And you have to explain it, and then you kind of put that out to the table. Oh, like I'm just angry that this isn't working, or I'm just exhausted. Like, we've been going through this forest for hours, and now we're fighting, and we're not getting anywhere, and I'm just exhausted.
I missed
little things
again.
like that. Missed again.
Yeah.
Before we jump completely off, though, one of the things that
Sure.
I do in my CNC games is they have an optional rule for experience for spellcasters, and they get experience points for casting a spell for the first time. And I use that, and I have a cleric and a wizard that are regulars in my group, and they love that rule. Like, and it's based on the level of the spell they cast, and it's a one-time thing. You only get it once for every spell that you
first
cast,
time. That's interesting.
When you say first time, is it the first time like in the character's lifetime that he casts it? Or
in game, like it has to be in game. So like they'll be like, oh, I used my ice storm spell or whatever, and they both those guys, we usually chunk out the last 15 minutes of our sessions to kind of like get the experience points out to everybody so they don't get lost in the shuffle, and those guys, they're responsible for it. I don't track it. They'll go down their list like, oh, I never cast this spell before. I'm like, oh, great, that's a 3rd level spell. It's 300 experience points. I don't know if it is or not.
That's interesting.
There's a chart for it.
Yeah, that promotes the wizard doing wizard things. Learning spells and trying different things out,
and then you're not just spamming magic missile,
right? Well, we got to try this other thing. Yeah, let's try.
Yeah, I want to try this spell. And I should be better about it. It's a little bit more bookkeeping. Like, we have a rogue in the party, and once in a while, like, I'll do, if somebody does something really cool, I always make like a little note of it, and then they'll usually get some extra experience points for it. But like rogue using their skills, and it can get probably a little more bookkeeping than people want, than even I want. Because there's other classes like the fighter, probably a little bit more arbitrary when you're going to give him bonus XP. But if he comes up and like crushes something, he rolls, an attack, gets a critical hit, and we use one, I can't remember what number it is, but the optional crit rules. So it's like they have to roll again to confirm to see what damage multiplier they get. And that's in the Castle Keeper's Guide. So we've had guys that have rolled like double 20s and they've probably crushed whatever they're fighting, and I'll throw them some extra XP for that.
Yeah, cool.
That's cool.
And I do storyboards too, like George was talking about. Like we had a arc in the game where they were dealing with this huge war band of bugbears, and they retook the stronghold that those guys were occupying. And when they did that, it was a huge battle. There's a lot of stuff they had to do, and it was a long, like 5-6 hour session for us. And at the end of it, because they were successful, I gave them all like bonus XP for it, and just for completing that arc.
That's cool. Yeah, we used to have a rule back in the day where if you rolled a natural 20, you would get like 100 XP.
That's cool.
Things
my
like
guys
that.
would murder me with that because they're
like it had to be. Well, it had to be like a meaningful roll. Like you couldn't just, like you couldn't just as like the thief, like say, every room. Oh, I'm gonna climb this wall. I'm gonna climb this wall. I'm gonna climb this wall. I'm gonna, like it had to be like a meaningful. Like when I'm gonna pick this lock. Like let me do that. But then you'd have interesting interactions because you'd have, the fighter, or the rogue would say, "Hey, I wanna, do a listen check," and then pick the lock, and but the fighter's like, no, move out of the way. I just want to kick it open, because one of them might roll.
Or he's getting his experience.
Get the bonus. So you kind of go that, so that's so that's kind of interesting.
We had something exactly like that, Roger. DM would give extra XP to the rogue in AD&D second edition for every lock picked, for every door listened to, and especially with maps. And he was getting extra XP and had the lowest XP experience point table.
Yeah.
He was rocketing up levels, and we're like 2-3 levels behind depending on class. You know how it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we're like, what? How do we solve for this?
What about me?
Yeah.
And
actually, that character died. So the rule back then was you come back at first level, and he had to come back up. So the traps were a lot more dangerous, and we lost our rogue a few times.
I started doing a little bit of that because I play the 2 Pathfinder computer games, Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, and in there, if you disable a trap, they do give you experience points for it. And I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense. I like that idea. And I mean, I don't do it all the time, and I don't use a lot of traps anyway. But if he does something significant like that it's really impactful to the game.
The video game
Yeah, I think so.
I remember little numbers popping up every time I disarm a trap or whatever.
Yeah, I think it would. I think if you got it, you would get some bonus XP.
Topic for another podcast.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
I was trying to find my list. I can't remember what the third one was. There was a time I did. I would have the players vote on at the end of the session.
Yep.
3 different categories.
We did that once.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's and so the 3 things, there was a role playing award, right? And there was MVP. I don't remember what the second one was. Or one of them, but yeah, we used to do that, and then we'd have all the players would vote on it. But the issue there is, when you have everybody voting, it's kind of like a feel bad moment where you have people that never get any of the awards. And,
in our group, there was one guy who was never going to get the MVP award.
Yeah, and so it was kind of a feel bad thing, and so I stopped doing role playing, teamwork, and MVP. Those were the 3.
Yeah,
role playing, teamwork, and MVP. But yeah, and at one point a while back, I did one where I had everybody give somebody, I think it was 100 times their level XP or something. or whatever it was, and then we just go around the table, and then but that would always turn into, everybody would give another person the thing, so like everybody would just get the same amount because everybody would vote for somebody else, and then everybody would just get it.
I think we did that once with yours.
Yeah,
and I ended up getting
or you got a bunch of it for a while.
I got 400 of the 500 experience points.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, cool. Okay, great. And if I'm being honest, I was like, I deserved it. I built the temple. I made sure nobody died. I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. But then I'm looking around the table and I'm like, boy, how long until they just hate my guts?
Yeah. Stop winning.
Yep.
Stop being so good.
Yeah.
Like,
like I said, there was a guy that was sitting over there who was never going to get it, personality clashes and what have you. So, I'm glad that we didn't keep doing that. I liked the bonus experience, of course, but I was happy not to have to go through that again.
Yeah. No, I know. And
do you guys ever do
go ahead.
Attendance bonuses?
Yes.
Actually, I go one step further.
Yep.
And at 4 p.m. sharp, which is our start time, I give everyone 500 bonus XP.
If you're in the door, you get 500.
You're in the door.
If it is 4:01 and you open the door, sucks.
Earlier. And this is funny, and I don't want to call anybody out, but he's never gonna watch this anyway. But there was one guy who came in, and at 4:00, I was like, "Hey, you get the experience. Everybody gets 500 XP," and he was like, "Oh, that's nice. Is that new?"
No.
No,
we've been doing this for months,
for
dude. You
2
just
months
never
now.
Been on time.
He had never been on time, and he was like, "Oh," he realized he
was so bad that as a joke, Roger would look at everybody else and be like, okay, what time is he going to show up? And it would be like, he'll be here at 4:15. He'll be here at 4:45. And he would write down the times. And it's some kind of lottery thing. And he came in one time and he saw it and he got mad. And I was like, what the hell are you mad about? We've been waiting on you for 45 minutes. Sit your ass down.
But he he wasn't 10 minutes late, 20 minutes. I mean,
45 minutes late was early for this guy.
Yeah. He was. If he was early, he'd be there at 4:30, 4:40.
Yeah.
And I mean, he'd roll in at after 5:00, and
we need to change the subject, man. I'm starting to get pissed.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
One of the things we had was aside from playing your character, we separated out role playing XP, and it wasn't always about getting around an encounter, but it was whether you were in the inn or trying to get the party past a guard, it had to be a meaningful experience. Because just whether it was gathering information or all that stuff adds up, because in our game we look at experience as this is you're doing something outside the norm or that you're proficient in, and you're getting skill down of it. Just like casting spells, it has to be a meaningful casting of the spell, not just casting it for the sake of casting it. It had to be role playing for a reason. And that worked really well because on two fronts, it wasn't necessarily having the voice, the theatrics, that kind of stuff. It was even just talking through it to get the information, because not everyone can do a crazy voice or, and some people, it's just not in their wheelhouse. And we had other versions of XP as well that would get us through. There was one guy at my game who I relied on to do all the maps. I hate making maps. And he would set up a town. He'd make the whole map. And, I'd be like, hey, here's 500 XP for your time outside the game, and spending towards the game to do something to move it ahead. And that was actually simply enough moving the game ahead, that you're making the game happen and moving it forward. You're just not coming to the game. because that's one thing I love is when players are leaning forward into the game as opposed to sitting back. When you're sitting back, you're like, yeah, let this happen, or I'm okay with it. But when you're leaning forward and you're actively engaged in the game, to me, that means something. And I like to reward for it. So it's a mix of your character and you as a player, what you're doing.
Yeah. And I consider doing something similar and I used to hand out like luck tokens or chits or, whatever, and they would give people like players like rerolls and things like that. And like something like that, I would hand out as like, hey, you did something cool or whatever, that maybe instead of doing like a bonus XP, you give them like a reroll or whatever. But that's not a bad, it's not a bad idea either. Maybe attach an XP value to them. Like, hey, if you don't use it by the end of the session, it's worth 500 XP or something like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I found it interesting. I know I used to run a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics. I know that Jason's played in some of my stuff. I don't know if the rest of you guys, if you've played any of that, really.
Just once.
The experience in the book as written is it's you get 1 through 4 XP for an encounter, depending on how difficult it was, like how many like resources that you ended up expending. So even like if you have an encounter, and even if it's like 50 orcs and the wizard just casts, fireball, and it's just, it gets a high enough roll and just wipes them all out, like everybody just gets 1 XP, right? Because it was an easy thing. But like if, the wizard goes to do that and, fails and something explodes in his face, and then the cleric's got to use healing magic, and the fighter's getting beat up, and it gets, then it's like a difficult, and it's difficult. Then they all get, the 4, max, thing or something, based on that. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, kind of.
Shadow Dark basically, I think, took that, and that's how they do it.
Yeah, Shadow Dark is interesting. Shadow Dark is the only system that I have seen that resets XP every level. Like, it's not built into the chart. The XP chart where it's additive. And you reset to 0 every time you level. That's I think the only time I've seen that. But Shadow Dark is interesting. You get the talent roll on odd levels. And then Lion and Dragon, and there's a couple games based on that, does the same thing. That he has a roll every level, and then also on the table are hit points, so you're not guaranteed hit points every level either.
Yeah. And I was about to mention his. I like that system because you can look at that table. It's 1 through 8, and you can pick whichever one you want, or you can roll twice. 2d8. And I will always roll 2d8. I might not get something I think is really cool. Yeah, but I'm getting 2 versus 1. I mean, that's pretty
pick
nice.
1 or 2 random. Yeah, which is kind of interesting. And that kind of makes it can make very lopsided characters, but they're usually still even. Like you might get a character that you keep getting like a +1 with like a weapon, and so you might be like +10 with a weapon. But because you rolled so many of those, maybe you only rolled, 3 that give you a hit die, actual hit points. So you might have 10 hit points and have like a +15 to hit, where you've got some other guy that's got like a +2 to hit, but he's got 40 hit points, because he just
in that space game that you ran. I can't remember the name of it, but that one that you ran, I kept rolling and I kept getting bonuses to hit. And I'm like, I'm a pilot. Can I please just once get a bonus to my pilot skill? Never happened. I had like a crazy bonus to hit. And I was like, this dude's not combat. I don't want to be shooting people. So, pick or random. And sometimes the dice work for you. Sometimes they don't.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I think it ends up being like fair or whatever, right, in the end, because it's so random. And so you'll have things that are, that don't make sense or whatever like that.
I also like I kind of like that result because it makes me think, like my dude's a pilot, so I want to jack his pilot score way up, but it never happened. So I had to play him a different way. So he was no longer generic starfighter guy. He was a capable pilot, but I had to think about it in a different way.
Yeah.
So I like that system. I thought it was really cool.
Star Adventurer.
There you go.
Star Adventurer.
That's
That's
right.
that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. And I ran like a Star Wars campaign. It's basically Star Wars with the
it was great. I had a great time
options.
with it. It wasn't as good as West End Games, but it was still really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't have enough D6 to play that game. I only have about 2,000 D6s. I think I'm short by about half.
Short.
I don't know. 12 seemed to do just fine for me.
Oh, geez. Oh, apparently you never had any Jedis in the game.
As a matter of fact, I had a Jedi that had a whole lot of force points.
Yeah.
Ren Balanek. I can tell you all about him.
That's when you need like 40 D6s, and
I'm gonna use
you drop them, half of them go off the table.
Rolls.
Yeah, yeah. That was my only real issue with that, but yeah, what how did they do? I forget in the West End games there. How do they handle
you
leveling
got
up?
Experience that you would spend on pips to raise your dice up.
Right. Okay.
So one would cost 1 experience point, and then 2 would cost 2, 3 would cost 3, and once you got to 4, it didn't go to 4; it went to another full die.
So that's like a point buy system.
And you could only bump it. What was it? 1 pip at a time. Like you couldn't do like 4 all at once.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So you couldn't go from 1 die in dexterity to 4 die in dexterity, in one game. It would be 1 + 1, 1 + 2, 1 + 3, then 2 + 1, 2 + 2.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Once you get past +3, it became another die.
I just love.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's a handful of point buy systems out there. I know Cypher System does it, and it's interesting the way they do it. And I'm not a huge fan of the system, but the XP you give when the GM wants to do something horrible to a player, they offer 2 XP to a player, and then the player can choose to accept this bad thing that's going to happen and take the 2 XP, and he keeps 1 and then gives 1 to another player, and then you can use those XP to, I think, re-roll, change something in a scene or something like that, and something else, or you can save it, and then you can spend 4 XP to up one of your talents by 1, and then once you do that, I think you got to do it to different talents. I'm not sure though. Once you do that 4 times, then your whole rank goes up. Mm-hmm. And then so now you can upgrade all of your talents to that level. So you do it 4 times, and now you can bring everything to level 3. And then once you bring 4 things up 1 level, then now you go to level 4, and you can bring everything up to 4 and things like that. It's not a terrible system, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. The DC Heroes game, or the DC Superheroes game by Mayfair Games from the 80s, does that, but it's the hero point. You get hero points, and you could spend those to increase your roll 1 for 1, or you can buy abilities, and they cost like 10 times the price that they do at character creation. So it takes like a lot, but you can bank them. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting. The point buy systems. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan on things like that. But I don't know what you guys think about that stuff as far as like the D6 system or Cypher.
I was a big fan. I've never done any of the Cypher stuff, but West End Games I played a lot. Star Wars, I didn't mind it. I guess I liked a bunch of different. Other than Milestone, I like a bunch of different.
Sure.
It depends on the game I'm playing in.
I think it depends on the game. Like, I don't know. I think that would be weird and maybe it's just because I'm so used to playing D&D or whatever. But I think just I see a fantasy game getting played with, XP, right? Level ups and XP.
Yeah, if it's a level based game, I want XP.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see for me like a fantasy game. Well, I guess right there's like Dragonbane that's different from XP, and that seems to work. But I don't know if like a point buy system. I don't know if I would like that for like a fantasy type game. Maybe it's just me because I'm used to the, playing OSR like games.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And Ducato said the same thing, man. If it's fantasy, just experience. I mean, that's what we grew up playing. We all started playing Dungeons and Dragons with experience points. The point buys or other systems, for me, it's as long as it doesn't feel gimmicky, I'm okay with it. Last time I talked about the karma system for Shadowrun, I still think is an excellent system. There's no level, but if your dude's been playing a long time and his total karma spent is like 95, that will give you some idea of his experience, what he's done in the world. And it's the same thing with Star Wars, because the D6 West End Games, you would have total experience gained and then experience spent. So that total experience gain kind of gives the other players and the dungeon master, or whatever you want to call them, an idea of how powerful you can expect that character to be. But there's plenty of systems out there. We see them a lot now. The indie explosion from the past 10 years. A lot of those games for me are just like, I'm like, oh, cool cover, check it out. Gimmick, put it down. This isn't for me. This isn't going to go anywhere. This is somebody's idea.
It's trash.
They did it. Yeah, it's trash. Exactly. They did a Kickstarter. They printed 100 copies. You can give those 100 copies to somebody else. It's not for me.
I did. Well, Dragonbane's similar because it's built off basically the same system. But like I played a lot of Call of Cthulhu, and that one, you're not earning. It's if you successfully use a skill, you check that skill, and then at the end of the session, you have to check and you can increase it by failing. Now, I got boned a lot doing that.
Yeah.
Like my dice roll were never in my favor, but I didn't mind that. And Dragonbane, like those systems, I like the way Free League does it too with their questions. I mean, Dragonbane's a little bit different, whereas it's not a guarantee. You're getting the opportunity to make maybe 4 rolls and maybe a couple free ones if you rolled a dragon or a demon on a skill in play.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that better than like the basic role playing or Call of Cthulhu where like you fail and you check it, and then when you're in training, it like goes up like a D4, I think, percentile. So that's an equivalent to +1, right, on a D20. But I like that, and I think that can get out of hand. Because you'll spam the skill until you fail it, and then it'll keep going up, and then I think that gets out of hand. Whereas with, Dragonbane, the higher you get, the harder it is.
It's harder because you have to fail to increase it, and it can be hard. Like, I mean, I've played characters that have had 18. I mean, 18 is the max anyway, and I think I've had at least one character that got an 18. I think my first one did, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, basic.
Basic
role
that's
playing.
what Dragonbane's built out of. It's just uses a D20 instead of percentile dice.
Yeah, that
great
might blow
system.
people's minds. I don't know. I definitely like the D20 over the percentile. I mean, I'm not a big fan of roll under, but I think if I had to choose one, I think the D20 one is where I'm at. Like I'd rather play Dragonbane than like basic role playing or.
Yeah, I've never tried. I mean, other than playing, Call of Cthulhu, I've never done anything with those systems. I've thought about looking into like RuneQuest or Pendragon, but I mean, I have so many games now that
I was looking into RuneQuest, and the original creators branched off and made another system. I have the book somewhere behind me, but then there was the guy that does I don't know. I'm blanking on his name. He does he did a lot of solo play stuff, and he made his own system that I backed, and it's a roll under percentile system, but the higher your roll, the better, like the more effective, like hit or whatever you have. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
oh,
so it's
so
interesting.
Cthulhu does
Roll
that, but it's the
under,
opposite. The lower you roll, the more potent it is.
yeah, yeah. And so this is roll under, but roll high. So you want to roll as high as you can without going over, you know.
Without going over it.
So yeah, which is interesting. So I back that. And so I'll, we'll be talking about that at some point. But yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, other than that, what else do I have on the list here? We covered some usage based systems. Yeah, Delta Green, that's another one that does the same, a similar thing.
Yeah.
With
It's
that, with
leveling,
increasing.
not leveling, but it's increases because I played a little bit of Delta Green, and then when we went to, how is it different from Call of Cthulhu? It does it slightly different
Yeah.
because I was used to Call of Cthulhu, and then the way it did it was different than that. It was a good game though.
Yeah. Solo play. I kind of like solo play. It's not like my preferred way to play. I'd rather play with a group or whatever. But I've done
I've done some Call of Cthulhu because they put out some solo stuff. Their starter box set, their last one they did is really good. I think I did the adventure in that, and then I bought a few. I haven't played them yet, but I have a few of their solo books. And then I was looking actually just yesterday, and they have more out. They were fun. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it all the time, but like
I think it's interesting if you use like a lot of the OSR stuff. You because of all the random tables and whatnot, you can play it easily. You could do solo and just keep rolling on the
I see a
lot of charts,
a lot of YouTube channels that that's kind of their focus.
Yeah I wouldn't want to do it live. Like I don't know, I think that would be, or not just live, but like record it and post it. Like I don't know, that's just weird for me. I mean, I don't even record my home games, so
no, I don't either. I've had requests to do it, but
yeah, I think that would be weird. I think everybody would be like, looking at the camera, or
I'd be really self-conscious. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And looking at the camera. That's why I don't like Critical Role. I'm not interested in watching someone pretend to play Dungeons and Dragons. I would rather sit down and play Dungeons and Dragons myself. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right. You end up playing to the camera. But yeah, I don't know. Just going through my my list here of different things. There's a few other interesting systems that I'd like to know. And I know we kind of been jumping around here, but there's a game, Hollow Point. It's a thin red book it's got to be like 20 something years old now. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a D6 pool system, and the only mechanics are really for resolving like a big action scene, and nobody really has. Like, it doesn't matter what you have for weapons, like, because everything just kind of affects everything else in the same way. But it's meant to like emulate like any like Reservoir Dogs or like any movie where you have like a huge kind of action kind of scene that goes on. And the way the leveling up works, there's no XP, but you can get as you get hit, your dice slowly disappear. And when you go down to 0 in something, you're knocked out of that combat. And so you'll have like there's like a story thing that each character has. And if you choose, when you're knocked out of that combat, if you can make it fit into your story and you die, like doing that, like say like your thing is like you're looking for your father or whatever, right? And then like as you get killed, you like say something like, oh, like this guy who like shot me or whatever, this bad guy, like he was really my father or whatever. And you kind of resolve that storyline and you kill your character off. At the beginning of the next scene, like now, because like somebody died or whatever, like now the mob boss like shows up, and now that's like your character. So yeah, so your character dies, and then that means you get to be this more powerful character that shows up, and then happens like 3 times. So then like after that, like you kill that character off, and you're basically like John Wick or whatever, right? Like shows up, and then you're like that character, and you have like these extra, maneuvers that you can do. And so it's really interesting because in order to advance, your character has to die, and then you get to make, the next higher character. Yeah, it's definitely different. It's interesting. I can see Jason pondering that.
Yeah, it's similar to one of my all-time favorite RPGs that most people have never even heard of. Did you ever play Bushido?
I've heard of it. I've never played. That's the box set from the late 70s or something, right?
I think Phoenix Games, something like that. I played it in '93 when I was stationed in California. My D&D dungeon master knew I was a big fan of samurai, like every other kid my age. And so he introduced me to Bushido. And Bushido, it's point buy. You have 10 points. Or I'm giving an arbitrary number because I don't remember. But you have 10 points, and you use that points to buy your stats and your weapon skills. And the Nodashi is the samurai equivalent of a two-handed sword. It says Vaihunter for Japan. They're huge katanas. And you had to have X amount of strength in order to use this thing. And you could not get it with a first character. So as you played your character, you got karma, and you use karma to raise your skills. And when you died, when you made your next character, you took half the karma that other character had gained, and you added to your karma pool. So I was playing a samurai. We were all playing samurai. It was the middle of a huge samurai battle. Anyway, so I'm playing the samurai, and I love playing him. He ends up dying, and it's one of my favorite memories from RPGs is that whole scene. But I took his karma and made a new character, and dude was huge. In fact, I based him off a video game character, Samurai Showdown, one of their characters. And so I was able to use a Nodashi now. And man, I was so freaking excited to use that Nodashi because it's this huge katana. So, similar, when you die, you don't just throw it away. You gain something.
Yeah.
As long as you played the character. But that's the only, when you were talking about Hollow Point, my comment about gimmicks, that feels like a gimmick to me. And I'm just this will be okay for a one shot, but I'm not interested.
Yeah. No, and that's really like what it's for. It's not meant for like, overarching like campaign play. I think it's something you could sit down, you could play through it like once and go through, like a movie or whatever, or a couple movies or whatever. And that's it. It's definitely not a system that's designed to, to carry on, after that.
Yeah.
Death Angel, I don't think that Bushido video game from the 80s is
it's not the same thing.
But
I still have that over here. I think it's over my old pile. I've scoured the internet and swap meets for Bushido. And when I finally found it, man, I was happy. Yeah.
Samurai or Ninja, one or the other. I don't know.
Samurai Showdown was a coin operated video game that I played in the early 90s.
Nice.
I got really good at it.
Along with XP though comes leveling up. And how does everyone level up? Maybe
very carefully.
How do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean.
So do you just level up and get all of your new abilities, or do you have to train, or do you have to go on a quest? What is leveling?
So in my current game, because of the way that the characters can spend gold to get XP, I kind of just, and they can only do that while they're in town. That to me covers like, the training and whatnot and that. So I kind of hand wave all of that. Mostly because in my game, especially, like I try and hand wave everything that has to do with town, and I try and make town as vague as possible, where there's not even named NPCs because the adventure's not there. Like the whole point of my campaign is to go out and, do stuff. So,
and another part of that falls in really well with the way Roger's doing it. Like I'm an 8th level cleric. I built the temple. The next highest cleric is level 2, and he's the guy that works the temple. Who is training me? You have to spend 8 weeks training. What am I going back to the mainland to go see the Archbishop? That's who's going to train me. So and I'm just like, that's just really irritating. I'm a big fan of the way that Roger does it.
And we don't mess around with training or anything like that.
To me, the experience points is the training. I've gotten better swinging my sword by swinging my sword in actual combat, not by going back to the base and hacking up a wooden dummy. That does nothing for me.
Right.
Death Angel, when you say, so he says adjacent to leveling up, how about regulating progression with XP? Since he refers to it as experience point progression. When you mean regulating progression, do you mean something like they do in like AD&D where you can only level up like one level at a time or something like that? Or because I don't have that restriction. I don't. But I mean, there's 2 of my players here. They can tell you that they never have enough gold or XP to get 2 levels.
Yeah, like my group would never. I mean, I don't know if I would hold to that or not. I remember playing that way, but
fast low.
The XP amounts are so you need so much in C&C. Like, if you ever got enough to level twice, I don't know exactly what I threw at you and how you survived.
And that's a feature. That's a feature that Gary
the
made.
Other thing with training, though, the other thing with that is part of the reason they had training is to alleviate all the gold you were getting because you had to pay for it.
Right.
So you weren't amassing like tons of gold.
And that's why I make the characters spend the gold. And I think that helps. And like the progression is slow, Death Angel. The progression is slow. And it gets slower the higher the level you get, because Gary knew this. You gotta keep players lower levels for longer. The slower the more they increase, the longer you have to stay that level, because you get into higher levels and it becomes a problem. The math and everything starts to fall apart with the game. And that's
unmanageable.
It's provable, right? Like you go and look at these surveys, even with 5th edition stuff, people are saying that the campaigns cap out like between 5th and 7th level or something. Like people don't go higher than that. There's definitely a sweet spot. Now I know players want to level up and they want to get new abilities and they want to do all that, but yeah, I think that and maybe my game is a slog or whatever, right? Because of that. But we've got 9th level players, and we've been some 9th level. I think one or 2 9th level characters, right? The rest are 8th and 7, maybe, and there's much lower than that. And we've been playing this campaign, a year and a half? We figured a year and 3 months, year and 4, something like that. So
I'm in a similar boat. I have 2 characters in my group, my Cast Crusades group, that are 8th level. Everybody else, I have 5 regular players. So 2 of them are 8th level, the rest are 7th level. And we've been at it for 3 years, over 3 years.
And what do you guys?
And they all love it. They love it.
Weekly or monthly?
We play twice a month.
Yeah.
We're playing monthly. This year is when we started doing twice a month. And we were playing monthly. And then this year I got them to twice a month. So, and they did start at 1st level. Yeah.
So we're playing weekly, and yes, I start most characters at 1st level. I did like a one shot that was sort of, I guess it wasn't a one shot, right? Because it was in world, but I had everybody create new characters, and I let them start with 4,500 XP, and that was a loan from a company, and so they have to pay that off. They have to put 10% of any gold that they return to town with, they have to use to pay back this loan. So basically 4,500 XP is where they started, which is, I believe, 3rd level. I don't think anybody was 4th at the 2nd or 3rd level, I believe.
Yeah, I think my druid was 3rd. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
But yeah.
We played this weekend, and we did not play our higher level characters. Yes, the main A team. We didn't play our A team. In fact, we didn't even for me we didn't even play the B team. God, we played our C or D team anyway. But yeah, so I was playing a 4th level monk. Roger let me be the average level of everybody was playing, so that I wasn't a hindrance. And I was thinking about that while I was driving to work this morning. I really like playing my cleric because he's 8th level and he's pretty powerful. He's got good gear. But man, I had a lot of fun playing the 4th level monk this Sunday.
Yeah.
Boy, he took a beating. Thank God I did good hit points. The CNC monk, by the way, very powerful. D12 for hit points. I think in 1st edition, I think it's D6.
D4.
Yeah, something terrible. Which is ridiculous the way that gets hit for a living. But the CNC monk was tough enough that even with my feeble armor class, I was able to take a solid beating, and I was like, man, I'm really liking playing the low level guys again.
It's interesting, right? Because that they were fighting wargs and goblins, right? And like the higher level characters are fighting frost giants, fire giants. You know what I mean? Yeah. Bigger things. And really, like if you look at that math, like that math is sort of similar, right? You can maybe take, 4 or 5 hits from a giant, right? When you're like 8th, 9th level, and you could take 4 or 5 hits, from a goblin or something, when you're at a lower level. So really like the combat, I think, takes like roughly the same amount of time. It's the same amount of hits back and forth. It's just the numbers are bigger, when you're at higher levels,
Yep. Yeah, that's the game balance, and I think a lot about that too. That's like the combat. The combat gets harder in leaps. It's like the first time we fought a bunch of hill giants, they were chucking rocks at us, and boy, I think we lost a guy, and I was like, man, I don't know if we're gonna make it out of this. But then we learned what the hill giants can do, so now we start hiding behind trees, and we're working at getting up closer. And then we can, like you said, I can take 3 hits from this guy. My 1st level guy can take 3 hits from a goblin or a kobold. So it's the same thing. It's just a really smooth trajectory going up.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I like lower level play personally. I mean, so between 2 and 5, like 2, 3, 4, like in those levels, I think that's where the best D&D happens.
It's definitely easier to prep for.
Yeah.
I still don't know if I agree with that or not. I like playing at any level. A lot of it is system dependent. You and I have talked about 3.5 a lot, and I always talk about my level 17 ranger.
Yeah,
I loved playing him because it was like Superman, but he was a 17th level ranger, and there was nothing that he couldn't hit, and he got 5 attacks per round, and I'm like, okay, I can see why this would not be a lot of fun especially for an inexperienced DM. At one point, because of 3.5 with all the feats, I don't remember which feat I took. It was like accurate shot or something like that, but we're being attacked by pirates. I climb up to the crow's nest and I'm firing down, and I go to shoot the captain, and the DM's like, he's hiding behind this crate. And I said, I shoot him anyway. And he's like, he's at 3/4 coverage. I was like, no, not for me. No, I can hit anything. And that was the moment that I was like, this guy needs to retire. It's certainly fun. I would never say it wasn't fun, because it was great just sniping everybody on the battlefield. But where's the challenge for me? There was no challenge in that whatsoever. So that does take the fun out of it. So anyway,
epic levels in 3.5. Yeah, epic levels in 3.5 was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
What was that movie where they could curve the bullets just by going like that with the gun or whatever?
I watched that last week.
That's what you're making me think of.
Wanted,
your ranger's just I don't care if he's behind there. I'm just gonna move my bow while I'm shooting or something stupid.
And when I told the DM, I was like, yeah, I've got X feet, whichever it was. He went, oh, yeah, because he knew exactly what I was doing. And it was totally legit. It's in the rules. In fact, it's in the player's handbook. It's not in some expansion, but it's so broken,
challenging the gods and stuff. That I've always had issues with that. We'll kind of go off topic here with that, but that's I've never agreed with there being stats in the deities and demigods books.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just think that all that stuff should not have stats at all, because then if to put stats on it means that it's actually possible or whatever. And I never agreed with that.
When I ran West End Games, one of my hard and fast rules was you will never defeat Darth Vader. You will never defeat the Emperor because it is not your destiny. That is Luke Skywalker's destiny. And so there's always somebody that's like, oh, I'm going to go fight Darth Vader.
Yeah. So an interesting add-on to that is I knew some people that played back in the day, and it had to be D6. I don't know if it was D6 Star Wars or it may have been the D20 system. It may have been that newer, but I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Dan to be sure. But he told me the way that they handled that problem was once the characters got like powerful enough where they could like face Vader or whatever, they got like sucked into a wormhole and went into like some alternate universe where
big galaxy, man.
Yeah. Where like the I don't know, Space Kraken like took over like an area, and so they were fighting like
the Space Kraken.
Like they were fighting like the thing in Star Wars that like swallowed the asteroid where the Millennium Falcon landed, like stuff like that, but without a ship, just shooting at it and just doing buku damage and all that. And so they were kind of doing that, and that's how they kind of explained how they were so powerful still in universe. Yeah, space whales, the Purgles.
Look, fighting a god is like fighting a dragon. If you take down a god, that's like fighting a dragon and winning. It just really shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Right. No, and I think it's a lot. It should be a lot harder to fight a god than it does to fight a dragon, and dragons are hard.
Right. Yeah.
And fighting a god, like I get like using those stats maybe as like that's the god's avatar on the ground, and like maybe you can defeat that incarnation or but you didn't like defeat him. He could just the god could just send another one down and be done with it. So I think that's kind of okay, but yeah, I don't I don't like stats on that stuff,
right?
But yeah, there was one other. I know we covered a lot of different stuff, and I'm sure that we'll talk some more on all these different systems. I wanted to touch on Traveler. Now I haven't played any modern editions of Traveler, so the Mongoose or the original creator. Traveler's weird because the guy that made it, I forget his name, he didn't sell the rights off to Mongoose. He just like leased it to them, so they have like an edition going, and the original creator has editions going, so there's like multiple concurrent editions. The only one that I know about and have played is Classic Traveler, and their I guess level up system, there really isn't one. Your character, when you go through character creation, is basically when you level your character up, and it's like a push your luck element where you can actually die in character creation. It's the only system that I know of where you can get killed in character creation.
That was so
but
hoot.
No, it's I actually think that you'll appreciate this. So you turn 18, I believe it is, right? So you start at age 18 and you have to enlist. and you can enlist in like the Army, the Navy, the Merchant Marines. I think maybe pirates or something like that. There's like 6 different things, or I think there's 5. And if you don't pick one, you pick one, and then you have to try and roll based on your stats, roll to get in, to see if you make it. And then if you don't make it, if you don't make it, or you don't want to, you roll randomly, and you're randomly drafted into one. And then you have to make a survival roll to see if you make it. So now your character, if they survive, is 22, and they have 4 years of, say, Navy experience. So you get to roll. Oh, and then you get to see if you were promoted or not. And then you get to roll on these charts. If you were promoted, you get to roll on this chart. And maybe you get a better weapon. Maybe you get bonuses to skills, and it depends on what thing. And then if you want, after those 4 years, you can re-enlist again. And so you can, hey, I'm going to go in the Navy again, right? And I'm going to try and go. And now, like, you can see if you get promoted. And if you get promoted, you get up, you can, start working your way up, sergeant or captain or what, depending on how long. But so then you roll a survivability roll, see if you make it through. And then, and now you're 26 and then you can do it again, and you can just keep doing that. And you get more and more, and you can be, so like basically at the start of the game, that's when you like finally you muster out, and you get, the longer you are in for, the higher rolls you get on like your, I don't know if they call it a retirement chart or what it is, but you get like more of a bonus, or you might get like free space travel or whatever, free port to port, in some things. And then that's your character for the game. And there's no advancement beyond that in the game. That's how your character starts. And it's an interesting system, but I think it was worth noting because it's the only system I know of where you kind of go through like the level up process, before the game even starts.
So if I played Traveler once, and it was the original Traveler a very long time ago. I remember nothing about it except that we were in space and I had a good time. So if I go through all that ridiculous nonsense and I make it through my first enlistment and I get out, that's it. My character never changes.
Yeah. So I think maybe in some of the later books, there's things for advancement. I know like Mongoose Traveler, like they have rules for, skill advancement and stuff in there. So there is that, advancement. But in classic Traveler as is, yeah, there's no advancement beyond that. You get your military training and stuff, and your web. I mean, you have like money. I mean, so you can kind of like buy stuff. I guess you can use some money to go, and train up skills. I think I don't remember if that was in the original thing, but there's no like XP and like real like leveling. Pretty much you are what you are.
I think I'm gonna stick with West End Game Star Wars.
No, and I get it. I get it. And Traveler has its own kind of thing with traveling and stuff takes time. Yeah, I think it's cool for like one shots and things like that, or short campaigns.
Like that would be fine. But
yeah,
like if you're playing, I mean, I don't know how I've never played it, but if I'm playing something over like a serious period of time, I'd like to see some sort of advancement method. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like it doesn't have to be like superheroes like 5e or big powerful stuff, but a little bit here and there would be nice.
Incremental, just little incremental bonuses or whatever is interesting. I kind of like jumping around here, but the Morkborg, I know they don't have it's a basic system, right? But like their level up, when you level up, which we talked about, it's kind of like a milestone thing. You roll a d6 for all your stats. And if you roll equal to or higher than the stat, it goes up 1.
Yep.
Unless you roll a 1. If you roll a 1 or you roll below the stat, it goes down 1.
Yeah.
And so So like
But
your
your
stats
HP
not only
your HP also
right,
goes
and then
up.
you get your hit die for whatever class you are or whatever, right? And then do you get an
No,
ability?
you just roll and it goes up. But yeah.
Do you get an ability too?
It depends on certain classes get abilities, certain classes you don't.
Oh, that's right. The hit point thing is like you roll like 6d10 or something, right? And then if it's higher than your current hit point, you gain a hit point or something like that. Or no, you get a d6 hit point or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a d6. I haven't ran a game ongoing long enough for anyone to level in quite a while, so I kind of just don't remember off the top of my head.
It's it's interesting with the stats. That's what I wanted to point out, that the stats, early on your stats are usually low, so like they'll increase, but then you get to a point where like once they get past 3, 4, like now there's a chance they can drop, and so it kind of keeps that average in around 3 or 4.
I just see my stats being a permanently flux between 1 and 2. That's what would happen with me.
Yeah, you finally get 1 to 2, and then at the next level up, you're like roll a 1, and it drops. Yeah, it's interesting. And that's totally possible in the game, but that's kind of their way of limiting, what power level everything is, without getting too powerful. So you get a roll and you get a chance, to be powerful, but it keeps like a balance. Where it's not completely, where you're just exponentially getting stronger and stronger, like in most kind of, games like this.
We started playing Call of Cthulhu. The guy that ran the game for us, like I had never played it before, so he was like, "Well," he goes, "Let me explain it to you this way." He's like, "In D&D, you start off like this, and you just get better." And he says, "Call of Cthulhu, you're going to start the best your character's ever going to be, and you're only going to get worse."
Yeah, you're only going to go the other direction. Right. Yeah.
And he wasn't wrong.
Yeah, your sanity score is going to go down. Your sanity score is going to go down. It's never going to go back up again.
Nope.
Your best hope is to become a pile of mush and get put in a home.
Yeah,
that's your best outcome in a Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah, I don't think.
Thoroughly depressing right there.
Yeah, what a good time.
Yeah,
it's true though, because a couple wrong rolls and your guy just goes, you're just permanently insane, and like you can't,
So I got that going for me.
Good. Which is
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. In Call of Cthulhu, we did we had that one shot. It wasn't Call of Cthulhu. It was what was that game that Ethan ran?
I don't remember, but I know the one. I had a good time with that.
It was a small thing. It was a one shot.
It was a one shot, and that's
exactly it was good. Yeah, and it was designed as such. And I think that system is designed for a one shot, or just a very short, maybe 3 to 5 session campaign or something.
Yeah. The minute we started playing, I knew how my character was going to die.
Yeah.
So I just kind of worked towards it.
Yeah. And we ended up killing the cultist, and my character ended up taking over for him.
Yep. And mine plugged himself.
And you shot himself in the head with his last bullet or something.
Yep.
Yeah. That was fun times. Fun time. Yeah, that's George. That's how these Call of Cthulhu type games go.
Yeah, I haven't mastered D&D or Castles and Crusades yet, so I'll just stay in my little zone.
Yeah,
or Hyperborea.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes your character will see something and just beat himself in the head, with a bat or something. It just happens.
Call of Cthulhu was playing that was a turning point for me, though, for how I thought about games, because we were playing 5e. I was in a bunch of 5e games, and then I started playing Call of Cthulhu, and I was like, holy crap, like everything was like
everything hates me.
like I'm like, oh my god, like that security guard kicked the crap out of like 4 members of our party.
And you're squishy. Yeah,
it was great. So I really started It really changed the
you
way I thought
can't,
about games.
yeah,
A lot of
everything you
tension.
come across, you can't just defeat, and
Yeah.
oh yeah,
No.
yeah.
And I
it's
like.
definitely
I don't
different.
like. I don't like traps as much, but I do like mysteries as far, and it was always fun like working that part of it because that's the
Yeah.
bulk of the game really. Is like figuring out the mystery of what's going on, who's doing what, and
Yeah,
I really like that.
yeah. Which impossible to defeat elder being is
Elder
behind
God is
all of
coming to
this.
taking
Yeah.
time out of his busy day to
Yeah,
end our existence.
yeah. And how do we get away from that? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fun.
You don't.
I
Yeah.
think
Oh
it's,
yeah. Yeah. You can't. You can't. Oh okay.
it's kind of like, and I think we've had this discussion, Dakota, that the first time you play DCC, you want to keep all your characters alive, and you can, you know,
Yeah. No.
and they die off. The funnels are just great for that. You know,
Yep.
you're
Yeah.
not attached to this character. Usually, the one that you want to die or something survives.
That's the one that survives. And
Every time.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. 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 I actually like that. I actually like that a lot. The funnel thing.
When we did your Unmerica campaign, we did that first funnel,
Mhm.
and the guy that I was like, please God, just kill this guy. Nope, he survived, but by some miracle, I made it through the entire campaign with that one guy, and he actually turned into a very good
Yeah.
character. But yeah,
Yeah.
that funnel, man, it's like, I got a 25% chance of playing a character that's going to be pretty decent. No, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Leroy Jenkins. Yeah. I think. I think we're all old enough to get that reference.
Of course.
I don't know what that's from. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, shut up, Joe. You know what that's from.
No, I was there when that happened, not like in the same raid, but
You were there. You were in the room.
I was in the
Warcraft
I was on the
community.
internet.
Along with 9 million other people playing
Yeah.
Warcraft.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
So what do you think about like just playing a game and not leveling ever? How does that sound? Have you ever tried
How long are you
that?
playing it for?
Yeah. I'm okay with that if it's like 3 to 5 sessions and something.
So I mean it. Okay, so what I play a lot of 3.5 when I was in like school, and because like sometimes you get a half day, it's like sweet, we can get like a whole other game of Dungeons and Dragons in, and then do the regular game of Dungeons and Dragons. So we got a lot in, and like one day I was just playing, I forget what, or maybe I watched a YouTube video or something, or some kind of internet video, and Legend of Zelda, you get the go through, you get the heart or whatever, and now you got 4 hearts or 5 hearts, whatever, it goes up.
Yeah.
But I saw someone doing it like not ever getting. Oh no, I'm in the spotlight now. I'm nervous. They never collected the heart after you beat whatever boss, right? So you just 3 hearts the whole time. And I was like, what if I kind of did the same thing with Dungeons and Dragons, where you don't get levels, you don't get experience, but you can get. You just find like little. What I had was like little gemstones on monsters, and it'd be like, okay, you find a gemstone, and that's going to give you like plus 3 HP or whatever. And the character, I wasn't like locked onto the character when they picked it up. Like I had characters being like, "Hey, my HP's kind of low," and like everyone was just giving their HP gems to the wizard. You know what I mean? And like then other ones are getting like attack gems and stuff like that, and just leveling, ability score gems and stuff like that, just leveling up like that. And all they had to. It wasn't like you had certain inventory slots. It was just I got bored kind of with just okay, you level 2, you level 3, you level 4. And one of the things, that's fun to do with 3 and 3.5 is just multi-class, but you get that huge experience penalty after a while. So we're like, what if we just take all the class stuff and, I would roll for, I had my own custom chart at the time I rolled for, and basically like, we even loosely had classes. I know that's like a horrible idea for a lot of games, but, we're all young and just experimenting, as people that age tend to do. And, so I don't know. What do you guys think anything about that? Because I think that was one of the better like D&D games I ever ran, where it was just kind of loosey goosey and like customize your character exactly how you want, you know?
Yeah, that's it. And what level were you?
We were always level 1, but like I said, you could have, you know, like, I don't know, if say someone had 10 HP gems.
Yeah,
and
right,
all,
right. So you
know,
just find the gems or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got all the benefits of leveling, but without leveling, and it was kind of cool because, you know, every time you kill something, everyone's like super excited about the treasure, you know, and I was excited because I didn't have to calculate, okay, I got a level 1 guy, a level 3 guy, CR5 challenge, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to calculate the experience, so I was just like,
Yeah.
you know, but it wasn't like every time they killed something, they got like a incremental upgrade. It was just, you know, usually it was like guys with names and stuff that were involved in the storyline and stuff like that, you know.
Guys with names, yeah. Those are always the important ones if they have names. Yeah, it's interesting that it's kind of how the Index Card RPG works. I don't think they have XP and leveling up. It's all like equipment based stuff, and he uses hearts. And so I believe 1 heart is 10 hit points, and everybody starts with like 1 heart, and then like you can actually find like a heart like later on, and that gives you, you know, more health. It's kind of interesting.
We talked about that a little bit last week. God, Roger, why I don't want to see my big head sitting there. Yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't really care about leveling. You know, I like I said last time. What I care about is
motion sickness.
There we go. Sorry.
Jeez.
So I'm sorry. I had to go back to the way it was before.
I care about. I forgot the word that I use, but you know, it's not advancement. I want to know that my character is growing within the world. You know, I don't have to be a level 8 cleric to be happy, or a level 20 cleric. You know, like I built the temple in town, and I built a manor and all this stuff. So like when my character goes into town, I can see his footprint, and then I'm like, okay, I'm really happy with the way things are going here. So yeah, experience points doesn't really matter. You know, this is directly to Joe's question. That doesn't bother me. It's accomplishment. That's what it was. As long as I see some kind of accomplishment in my character, I don't care if he's first level or 20th level. That doesn't matter to me.
Sure. No, that makes sense. And yeah, I've always liked like lower level, like first levels maybe. Like I wouldn't want to keep characters there for a long time, just because they're too squishy. They're prone to one bad hit, you know, even from a goblin or something like that. And then they're just, you know, they're done for. So, you know, but I think like, and you kind of brought this up earlier, but like what we did, you know, Sunday, like 3rd, 4th level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fourth level for most classes is, you know, between 3 and 5 is that's a happy space for most classes. Is you've got enough abilities that are pretty cool. You can take a couple of good hits and you can dish out a couple of good hits. So it's a nice even area right there.
Yeah. XP for player based on level. I remember having to do that for 3rd edition. And I think I stopped doing that, and I think I just gave out, just, you know, okay, everybody gets 1,000 XP or something or whatever it was, instead of doing that. Yeah, 3.5 is the average party level. Yeah.
I don't think I ever did that when I ran 3.
I didn't either. Yeah, I completely
no.
That. Yeah,
that's a level of bookkeeping I'm not interested in.
The orc is worth 20 experience points. You divide that by the number of players. Everybody gets 4.
That's how I always did it.
Yeah. I think we had some issues with that. I don't remember exactly, but we had like characters that I think we had a character die, or somebody that came in, and he made a 1st level character, and the rest of the group was like, I don't know, 9th or 10th level or something.
Are you talking about our campaign? Because that same thing happened with Josh's character with his druid.
But then like when they got XP, they killed like a handful of giants or something like that. And then when it came time with the XP, because it was based on your level, like he got like a shitload of experience, and it brought him up like a few levels or something, just because of that. Because he got like, 10 times everybody else, because of the level difference, or 5 times or whatever it worked out. I don't remember this was years ago now, but yeah, so that was
Can I go back to something we were talking about like an hour ago with the milestone leveling? And I know you're not
you're the milestone enjoyer. It says so right on the screen. So
yeah, so like you were bringing up, what if someone doesn't show up to the session, blah blah blah. But
undeserved.
Bringing it back to like my school days when we play and basically had infinite time to play. Everyone showed up to like every session, unless someone had to go do something with their family or something. But mostly everyone was there. Everyone was doing the thing. And then if people couldn't make it that one day, they'd hit me or whoever the game master was up, like, the next day and just have a one-on-one session, kind of like, okay, the party went and did this. Oh, well, when they get back, they're going to need whatever, so I'm going to go gather that solo or whatever. And so it's kind of like, even though, okay, they weren't there for that, but they did contribute, because when the party came back, they were like, oh, we got a feast ready for us. All our weapons are sharpened, our spare weapons, their spare armor shined up real nice. You know what I mean? Like they went through and did all that, or they even did all the, like, not everyone's the same, right? So some people don't want to role play as much. So, they already did all the role playing with the local governance to like get us, approved to go on this adventure through this sacred passage that, so, everyone contributed though. And so like I told you I'd use the experience as a guideline, but like when you get to like, okay, so this is like the feels bad moment for me as a game master when everyone kind of went in to this like castle, went through, just kind of bum rushed through and made their way to like this guy who was like disrupting the ruling government at the time, and they had to like take him out. They went in, took him out, and then they were like, oh, so like now we level, right? Because they hadn't leveled in like several sessions, you know what I mean? And it was like, went through, cleared out who they needed to do in like one wing of the castle, made it to the throne room, got rid of the usurper, restored the king, and then it was like, up to then I'd been doing, okay, well, this is this much experience, this is this much, and I think it was like maybe they're going like into level 3 or something, and they're just like, we're like 1,500 short or something like that, or whatever it was. It was like, it was a small amount compared to whatever level it was, but it was like a significant amount compared, you know what I mean? And so, I had the whole wing of other guys who didn't fight, like came into the throne room and tried to re-usurp the throne. And that just felt stupid to me. And I was like, it would have been cool just to give them the level right there, because they did the thing, they took out the leader of the usurpers. So now it's like, okay. So that's kind of when I switched over to Milestone. And like I said, I always use whatever that game's experience system is as a guide, but then, at a point where it feels like, okay, they've earned it, as far as I'm concerned, like, okay, here you go, guys, here's your level or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, I think that the milestone leveling works when you have a system that's like 3.5 or third or even 5th edition, where you have even XP charts, so they're all the same, and then you have players that show up, all the time, or they're always there, or at least always participating. In a game like mine where, people duck out for a couple weeks here and there, like I don't think that it works.
Well, that's a whole other topic. That's adult gaming compared to like gaming as kids. And
adult gaming.
No,
Are you saying my game is an adult game?
I'm just saying, when you join the workforce and you have a job and all that, and or you're say you're going to college, working a job, or you know what I mean, whatever you're doing, you have less free time to play D&D or whatever game you're playing, and so sometimes you don't get a chance to,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel it's a completely different thing,
Adventure paths campaigns that say players should be at N level before proceeding. We ignore warning signs. At least this guy does. Like, what do you talk? What CR? Like, what is that? I don't understand. What
I used to do that. I mean, even the old modules would tell you that, this is for levels 4 to
3 through 5.
Yeah. No, and they're a good guideline to know,
right,
where things are going to go. But
like if you look at Goodman Games' release of the Temple of Elemental Evil, in there, there's a little section on there, and they said, from the first part you should be levels 1 through 3, and then if you're going to move on to the next part, you do this. Yeah, mine's over there underneath the.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It's just a guideline. Like that's
sure.
I don't have a problem with that. At least I know, like looking at the adventure, I'm like, oh well, maybe I won't run these first level characters through this 10th level adventure.
If they want to go in there,
if they want to go,
them.
I'll bring them.
On them,
but they're not going to like it.
Yeah,
we won't be there long.
Yep. Oh, you want to go into more level 2? Okay.
I tell my guys that. I told them that when I started doing my homebrew setting. Where you guys, like Skyrim, you can go wherever you want. Doesn't mean you're ready to go into those spots. I'm not going to change anything when you do. So.
Yeah. My players have definitely been in areas where they shouldn't have gone into. I'll leave it at that, but they know.
Come out a little worse for wear, but we did make it out.
Yeah, Death Angel, exactly. That's what you gotta learn. I think part of that issue is the newer players, like the 5e players especially, is that like runaway is not an option because it's so difficult to get killed. So it just makes it so hard to like want to run away because there's so many options, and the classes are not overpowered, but more powerful than than counterparts and stuff. Yeah, and it's crazy.
I think that's true. I think that, but I also think a part of that feeds into that is the whole like CR system, because it gives off this thing like everything's going to be balanced, right? Like it's CR, we're going to be at the right CR level of whatever this encounter is. And when I was running 5th edition, the CR system in that is broken. And I just stopped using it altogether. And it was very gratifying because I did have a player in one session. I don't remember what I threw at them, but his response was, if we've learned anything in this campaign, it's to run away. Like, I'm like, you in here, and there's real bad things there, and they're all badder than you. So
it's definitely a viable option. And I think that, that like in my game, like my players understand that. Like, this is the game that we're playing. There are no, level limit walls. You guys can walk into things that you're not. Now, I give them, generally a bunch of flags or something that says, hey, like they're not just going to accidentally walk into, a dragon's lair and just get massacred. Like if they walk in there and they, they'll see a dragon, or maybe he'll tell them to get lost, or or whatever.
You do the same.
Or say, hey, give me this. Hey, you walked into my thing. What are you doing? And give me this as a gift, and then I'll let you leave. And they, and they know. They go, oh, okay. Like, like they walked into a bunch of Zorn with like, I don't know, one player had what, like 3,000 gold in his pocket or something.
Yeah, they stole my lunch money.
Yeah, they smelled it and they were like, "Ooh, give us that!" Like we're
hungry.
We don't want to eat you.
That was one of our strongest arguments for leaving Basic Fantasy. Every time we're on the verge of being overwhelmed, we would lose 1 or 2 guys a session, And at 99% of the time, it was because we were not able to run. And it wasn't that Roger wasn't giving us the opportunity. It's because I dared to wear a suit of chainmail, which automatically cut my movement speed in half.
Yeah.
And so now this orc here moves at a 30. I move at a 20. I cannot run. There is no running away from me. I am going to stand here and I'm going to die. And then you're going to die. And then you're going to die. Two of the guys in the back are going to get to run away. And oh, man, we went through that a lot. And it was.
That's one of the interesting mechanics like Vaesen and I know Mutant Year Zero had it. Like there's I think it's in this, if you make an agility roll. I don't remember what it was in Mutant Year Zero, but if you succeed at that roll, you are out of the combat. Like, you have fled the combat. And if you fail, you're screwed. You're still stuck in it. And
CNC has that. It has to disengage. Before anybody rolls initiative, I am disengaging. My entire plan is to run like hell. Got it. And we have done that several times. Okay, this is too much. Last week I talked, or maybe it was the week before, I talked about the swamp dragon that popped up and just started massacring our mercs. As soon as that happened, we were all like, "Oh, we're getting out of here," and that was the end of it. And so
we gotta go.
Great.
Yeah, I had a party that found I think it's in CNC. I think it's mature age category red dragon lair. The druid flew in, shape changes an owl, and he'd flown in there.
Talking about that, yeah.
It was like two like draconian type people with it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm out of here." And he turned around and he, it kind of chased him out, but it was a more cinematic type thing. But they were like sweating bullets. They're like, "Nope, we're out of here." Like they made no. My players are pretty good. I think I've beaten them down enough over the years that they're pretty good about like, "Nope, we need to be out of here." Like, we're not. This isn't going to be winnable. Like, we need to go. And it was the right move. Like I've seen him before. They would do stuff, and I'd be like, "Guys, that's dumb. I'm gonna pound the hell out of you guys."
And one of the other comments you made related to that when you were talking about that last time was that it's good for the party to get reminded every now and then that they are not the biggest boys on the block.
Yes.
And the flip side of that is every now and then it's nice to remind the players that they are still pretty badass.
Oh, I do like to do that. I'll give them an encounter that, I mean, they're just gonna, like we have a dwarven fighter in there, and I'll give him an encounter where he can just go in and use all of his cleave and all that lower than one hit die, and just, I mean, there's no chance of them really dying, but they just to get to go in and just murder and just show how tough they are. And I mean, it doesn't happen every session, every once in a while I'll do it just to remind them, but or just to let them have that moment where they really get to enjoy like how powerful they really are. But then you got to snap them back to reality. And
right.
Roger threw 200 hobgoblins against us, and gnolls, and we wiped them out. And we were like, yes, that was awesome. We got a ruined castle, and now we can rebuild. I think it was like 2 weeks later, a bunch of stone giants stomped the crap out of us, and we ended up running. And we didn't start running till we got back on the boat and sailed back to town. And so I like that. It's like, oh, we're badass, and then so are they.
Yeah. There's always a bigger fish.
Yep.
As Death Angel says, it's interesting. Those were fun times. I think there's only a handful of things out there now that you guys can't. I don't want to say can't, but
a dozen fire giants inside a volcano with a Drider sorceress. Dangerous red dragon that we've not acknowledged. Dangerous.
Yeah, my guys fought some fire giants, and it wasn't they beat them. They lost a important NPC to them. I didn't realize how important that NPC was to them. They were really kind of attached to him. He died right off the bat. Almost killed a PC, and and I try to make it as realistic, like the rogue. We got a halfling rogue, and he got in there and he got up there for jumped on its back for a backstab, which he was successful at. And then the giant was like, "Oh, I felt that sting in my back," and just smashed his back against the cliff, the cave wall. And he was like, "Oh God!" and just rating him on that.
Yeah, these guys have been
Great.
they've done well, when they've come across fire giants and like frost giants in like short range. Like if they've come across patrols that they can kind of hide and like get them, but like when they're out, out in like in a chasm and they're like up on top of the chasm and they're far enough away where they've got eyes everywhere and they can see them coming. They can chuck rocks at like 450 feet or whatever, and it's like they're gonna get.
I did that to him.
They're gonna get 5 or 6 shots. On the group, and they're that's like what 2d8, 2d10 damage.
A lot of damage.
Yeah.
So.
And they have a
and
crazy,
that's like
they're high level. They have like a +10 or a +12 to hit.
Yeah.
They're not going to miss. So again. That's experience. We gain experience points by learning. Okay, these guys. So like we browbeat the wizard, mass invisibility. Learn this spell next. Whatever you do, mass invisibility needs to be the next spell. And so he learned it. We were able to sneak up on a bunch of fire giants, and we took him out. I was like, oh, perfect. We learned. It's great.
Yeah.
It's the thing when you have like games that have stakes, like and you start to be like, well, we can't just rush in there and just use all of our magical powers and take these things on because we don't have those. So it's like we got to come up with some tactics that will. So we're going to live through this fight. So.
Yeah, going down in this volcano is like rough because they're going to get surrounded. There's just a lot of, weaving passages and stuff, and it makes it difficult. But well, no, you guys have been down there. We'll discuss that elsewhere. The only other thing level up wise that I had in my notes, and I know we've been going for just about 2 hours here, but just an interesting note. The Sentinel Comics RPG, that was from Greater Than Games. They did the Sentinels of the Multiverse board game. So they made a Sentinel Comics RPG, and they don't have a level up system. You go through you go through the character creation, and then your character is kind of like fixed, like how they are. But each session they call an issue, and then so 6 issues. So every 6 sessions, you have that, and you call that a collection. So every 6 sessions you play, you get a collection. For every collection that you have, it allows you to change one die face to something, or you can change like something in scene. Like, maybe okay, I'm going to use this to say, the bad guy is near, like a telephone pole with live wires that I can, try and knock down or whatever. Or you can use it to like recall something from like a previous issue. Like if you're fighting the same bad guy that you fought and say that, previous collection, say Jason's character shot him in the arm or whatever, then you could say, oh, hey, I shot this guy in the arm, in this collection, 2 weeks ago or a month ago. Like, so I'm going to target that shoulder or whatever, cause I know it's bad, and you get like a bonus to hit or something like that. And so like, you don't really level up, but like, so every 6 sessions you get to do this like another time per session. So after you've played 12 sessions, now you can change 2 dice to any face, right? Like, one at a time or whatever, something like that. So it's interesting that kind of makes up for not getting extra things. I don't know how you guys feel about things like that. No,
that's the gimmick system.
Yeah, sure.
Pass.
Yeah, no, and the system, I like the system, and I think it would work well. And I've ran it in like short campaigns. I think I did like a 5 or 6 session campaign with it, and it works fine for that. The same as like any other system without a level up mechanic, would work.
So, Roger, would you say the best experience system is the memories that we experience along the way?
Wow.
Boy.
Well, guys, it's been 2 hours. It's been fun, but Joe has to go now.
Yep, slash kick.
But yeah, I don't know. Wow, the best XP system. I think for me that it really depends on what the game is and what the game is trying to do. Like I think that like Dragonbane, I think is a really good example. That system works well for Dragonbane because it fits in with the system, and it works. It just fits right in with it, and it works really well.
Yeah.
I think if you try and take that system and apply it to any kind of OSR game, D&D or Castles and Crusades or basic, anything like that, and it just doesn't work. There would be too much work to try and shoehorn it in to make it work, and it just wouldn't feel, it just wouldn't feel right. So I don't really think that there's any kind of best system. For me personally, in say the classic fantasy setting, for like an OSR game, I really think that putting the experience tables together was a big mistake. And I really like, gold for XP. That's my obviously personal thing. Yeah. I don't know what you guys, what's your take on the best XP system or anything?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, it depends on what we're playing. Like, they're not all going to work for sure. I love the way Dragonbane does it. I love the way CNC does it, much like any OSR game. They didn't, reinvent the wheel or anything. But,
sure.
I like the separate charts for separate classes. And my guys don't have a problem with that. I mean, the guy in my group that plays the rogue, he hasn't been able to play much this summer. He's been real busy. But if he had, he would probably be 2 levels higher than everybody else.
Oh, sure.
And everybody's like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's just better, which is great because it helps all of us.
Yep.
I like that. I didn't really like the one chart for everybody. I don't like that. One in 5e, it was just that chart I thought was so low anyway. Like it was fast leveling. At least in Pathfinder 1e, they gave you 3 different options for like the pace of leveling.
Yeah,
right.
Slow, medium, fast. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was all right because you had the fast, medium, slow, whatever. That's okay, I guess. But yeah, and then the other games, the way they do it, I think those leveling systems, for a lack of a better term, are built for those games, and they work for those games.
I think what was interesting about the way I do the gold for XP, buying XP, is that at one point or a couple points, like the players would be able to they were able to pool their money and say, hey, let's give 20,000 gold to Jason so he can level up his cleric because we need that shit right now.
Right.
Like instead of everybody getting 4,000 XP for it and not getting a level, like let's dump it into the cleric because he'll be able to cast healing breeze or whatever to do that. So I think that's interesting.
And I was able to leverage that, not on purpose. I did it and then thought about it later. My character spent a boatload of money buying a boat. I bought a longship because I got tired of having to travel from one hex to another. And so I spent a ton of money on this ship. And then I spent a ton of money building the temple and the tavern and all the other stuff that the Yohai has paid for that everybody uses. And so everybody was outpacing me because they're spending their money only on experience. And I don't remember who it was, but I think it might have been Andrew, it might have been Joe. But when they were like, oh, well, you should spend some money on experience. And I was like, sure, give me some money and I'll spend it on experience. Well, why don't you spend your own money? And I was like, because I'm playing my character and you're not. And that was the last time that got brought up. But then like the next session, they were like, here's 20 grand. Because, how far are you from leveling? And I was like, 45,000, something like that. And so they gave me a bunch of money. But I was like, are you guys absolutely sure that you want to give me this much money? I'll spend it on experience and I'll level Yohai up. Are you sure you want to do this? Because I know what I'm taking from them. I'm taking 10,000 experience from everybody else at the table. I fully understand that. But that was just the nature of the game we're playing. And going back to the first conversation that we had on Roger's podcast a month ago or whatever, I don't spend Yohai's money on experience. Because like I said, I like to see his footprint. So I spend my money on stuff that I can go home to a nice manor and a king size bed, and I've got an apple orchard. You guys are still living upstairs from the tavern. If that makes you happy, that's cool, but that's not what I want to do. So, anyways.
But also leveling you up, I think, guilted you into staying with the party.
No. What he's referring to is at one point I was going to retire Yohai because the medieval life simulator that goes on in my head. I felt like that after 14 months of traveling across the world, killing everything in sight, my 20-year-old cleric had been like, I've had enough of this. I'm gonna grow apples for the rest of my life and be happy. And everybody's like, well, we won't have a cleric. And I'm like, yeah, somebody's got to play a cleric. That sucks. I don't want to do it either, but I did. So then I brought in Yohai's fiance, and she basically talked him into continuing adventuring, and not for like the monetary gain or anything, but she's like, you've been living on adrenaline for 14 months. Are you really going to be able to put that away and play Johnny the Farmer? And Yohai was like, no. And of course, this is all in my head. There's nobody else playing my fiance. It's in my head. I'm having a discussion. And so that's that the money really had nothing to do with it. It took me about a month to decide what direction I wanted to go with Yohai. So that was it. I decided to keep playing them.
Yeah, I've had for different reasons. I've had players consider retiring their character well before the campaign was over. It just happened in our last session. There was talk of retiring one of them because he's got lycanthropy and he doesn't want to hurt anybody, and he just wants to like step aside for a bit. But they're working on it. It's a work in progress. But yeah, that's like just a mark of good role playing as far as I'm concerned.
That's how I feel about it too.
It's easy to get locked into the meta part of it, right? Like you're role playing your character, like you're building like the XP and advancement. That's the meta part of the game. I mean, and it's a fun part too. But I'm kind of like you. Like I'd be more interested in like if I was a cleric, like, oh well, I have a temple, and I've done this and I've done this. So like in game, which is where we want to spend most of our time, right? Not in the meta. It'd be like, oh well, this is Yohai's temple, that's cool. And then he built this tavern and he did this and this. Yeah, one of the other guys. I have friends that do the same thing. Like he's like, I don't know what the guys in my party spend their money on. I built a fucking fort. Like
that's exactly it.
Fortress. Like it's all decked out. I don't know what they're spending their money on.
Yeah. I have like weird things go through my head where I'm like, okay, my character just made 100,000 gold, which is more than like, any peasant would see. Yeah. Like every peasant in the country doesn't make that a year, right? Like this is enough for me and my family to live stupid comfortably for 100 years.
Yeah. A beer at the tavern costs $3.
Why am I going to go risk my life like tomorrow, right? To go try and kill, it's just crazy. So Death Angel, in the original D&D, it was acquired, or if you made it back to town with that gold, you got that for XP. Me in my game, I make them purchase it in town. They can buy XP for 1 gold per 1 XP.
Yeah. And that gold disappears. So like if I go, like I spent 20,000 on the temple, that 20,000, I do not get experience points for that. I built the temple. That's where that money goes. Or I can be like, I'm going to get 20,000 experience, and I take a pile of 20,000 gold and I chuck it in the sewer, and no one ever sees it again. It's gone.
You gotta eat it. With that
It's
guy who
interesting.
plays it.
There's a game. I don't know too much about it. I think it's Barbarians of Lemura or something. Does that ring a
Oh,
bell?
yeah.
I think in that game, because it's like a sort of like a Conan-esque game or like a
Sword and
Fafhrd and the
sorcery
Grey
style
Mouser
game.
type of thing. Yeah. And if you've read the Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser books, they all basically start and end in the same place, and
The
it's
tavern.
them being broke in the tavern.
Broke.
So they'll get all this gold that they'll come back with, and then they just spend it in the tavern and they're broke again. But so in Barbarians of Lemuria, like I believe you get XP, like traditional XP, but in order to level up, you can't level up unless you're broke. Like you have to spend like all your money.
So
And
you
and
have
there's
to
like
go back out to get more.
there's like carousing charts and things like that. Yeah, so you basically come back to town and you blow all your cash, on hookers and beer, and then you can level up, and then now you're broke, and so now you got to go out again, and it kind of keeps
That's how
that
yeah,
going.
like Shadowdock is similar to that because when we were playing it, we always got more XP from carousing than we did
Yeah, right.
adventuring. So you'd go back and
Yeah.
you'd have all this loot, and you get to decide on how much you want to spend, and the more you spend, the bigger the
Yeah.
rewards are. And we would just be like, "Yep, sink it all," and we'd get a bunch of
I gotta look
XP and
at-
be penniless. And
Yeah.
I
Up
want
we
to
go
look
the
at
next
some of
day.
those charts. I've looked at the carousing tables from the DCC Lankmar stuff, and some of
Mhm.
that stuff is like scary. Like you roll really bad on some of those charts, and it's like you wake up naked in an alley, and you accidentally set the mayor's house on fire because you
Man,
were
that was a
trying to
good
date
night.
daughter.
What
Yeah,
a night!
and it's like so now the authorities are hunting you, and but you get 500 XP, but like you're
I gotta
being
get out of
hunted
here.
by like the authorities. The mayor wants your head, and it's
That
just
sounds
this
fun.
whole right,
That was
right,
great.
crazy. So I don't know how in depth the Shadow
You got-
Dark tables get, but
They're pretty. I mean, we had ones where you wound up in a nearby lord's like place, and those were like really good rolls, and you got like it was crazy. Yeah, they have some really great random charts in Shadow.
Oh
Dark.
yeah, the charts in the book are
Really
awesome.
great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's cool stuff. Yeah, I got
It's a
the
good
book
game.
over here.
That's a good game.
It is, yeah. It is. Yeah, so what do you guys think? I know I kind of talked a little bit and Stan, what do you think, Jason, as far as like your favorite XP system or whatever?
I don't really have a favorite XP system. I just have systems that I don't like.
Yeah.
But one of the I promise no segues, but we didn't talk about this.
That's okay.
You very briefly stated that you don't like experience or percentile roll under or percentile for that matter.
Yeah.
I understand why. I disagree because like the whole Palladium Megaverse is percentile roll under. Recon was one of my first RPGs that was not Dungeons and Dragons, and I loved it, and I still love it today. It's percentile roll under. So I think if you say I don't like the system, then you're really missing out on what could be some really great games. However,
Sure.
I would be a hypocrite if I didn't acknowledge that I do the exact same thing. Like I said, well, this seems gimmicky to me. I'm not interested. It could be a great game, but I'm just not interested in flipping over 5 cards until I find a queen and that's my card. Yeah, these things just don't appeal to me.
Yeah.
But as far as favorites go, I will keep this short. I like the standard experience point tables. I have no problem with those. I understand why they exist, and I don't have an issue with it. I'm really fond of Shadowrun with its karma system and D6 Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think when these systems were made, and this includes AD&D and all its children. When these systems were created, so much thought was put into these things to try and keep them balanced.
Sure.
and let you play it for more than just a couple of games. I just think they're great. I love them, and that's it. That's
Yeah. I'm not. I just don't like the roll under systems because they're always like a fixed like difficulty based on your own skill instead of like versus an opponent.
Well, I don't see that as being any different. For me, and a percentile translates so easy to a D20. It's every 5% is a 1. But and so it makes no
Dragon
difference to
Bane
me.
does that.
Right. It makes no difference to me if I have to roll high or low. I'm still rolling a D20 over percentile.
But if you're rolling high in like CNC, like you're going against an armor class of the enemy. You're not rolling against your own skill. In the percentile systems, you're only rolling against your own skill.
Yeah.
The thing I like about it is, one, it's fat. Well, the first thing I like about like Dragon Bane is because I roll like shit. So typically, like rolling low is awesome.
Yeah.
But what I really like about it, and one of my players said this to me when I was running a Dragon Bane adventure, and I did a video about why I like Dragon Bane. One of the things that's nice is it plays so fast. Like there is no, I can make it harder on people because I can give you a Bane on your roll. I can give you multiple Banes on your roll in Dragon Bane because you can stack them. But as soon as you roll the die, I immediately know if I succeeded or not. I don't have to calculate anything. I don't have to sit there. I mean, that happens in CNC, and I think combat in CNC is pretty quick. Like it's not slow. It's not freaking 5e, and it's way better. But there's still some calculations because you have, I have to be like, okay, what's the challenge level? But they have to be like, I got this bonus, that bonus, and all that.
Yeah.
And Dragon Bane or any same thing with like Call of Cthulhu or whatever. I roll that die and I just look at, I know. Yep, I succeeded. Okay, great. Here's what happens.
Yeah. We had a player in Rogers group. And I was going to actually say this last Sunday. It was my first time playing without that player. He's been removed from the campaign. I'm lightning fast when it's my turn. I already know what I'm going to do. I drop my die, add 9, hit or not, moving on. So my turn takes about 5 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Joe's turn takes about 10 seconds. Then, and then another guy is going to do another 10 or 15 seconds. We would get to this one guy. It would take him 3 minutes to figure out what freaking die to roll. And he would have to do the math. Dude, it's +5. Every time you roll that die, just add 5 to it and be done with it. But he would sit there and go, okay, I've got a +1 for strength. My level is +2. Oh my God, dude, what are you doing? So, and I'm only
I had a guy like that too.
Yeah, and I'm only talking about that because Dragon's Bane is so good, or Dragon Bane, there's no S in it. Dragon Bane is so good about that. Roll a D20. It's a 14. You got a 14. Period. You're done. You either hit or you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Dragon.
Super
Bane.
simple.
It's such a good system.
Yeah, I get it, and the roll under things, like, I mean, I get it. They work. You know what the number is. That's your thing, and you got to hit it. I don't know, and I don't mind them for one shots and things like
you're not the first person though I've heard. I think it also falls into what you're used to. Because I've heard other guys that I've gamed with, and they have similar backgrounds. Grew up AD&D, D&D, D&D. So you're used to like that method, and then it's weird. Like
it's very foreign.
now a 1 is a good thing. Like for the last 40 years, it's been the kiss of death. Like,
but it's not just that. It's like if I have a skill and I have 75% in a skill, like what to use a gun, right? So to shoot, another human, or to shoot, some, Cthulhu or in the face, or to shoot a dragon or whatever, it's the same. It's the same roll. It's the same difficulty.
That's true, but most of those systems, like the Palladium system specifically, your opponent has armor, so it's easy to shoot your M4 rifle and hit the dragon because it's the size of a barn. You're going to hit it.
Right.
But you might not do any damage.
Dragon Bane, the armor is great because it subtracts from damage.
Yeah.
So
yes. Same thing.
You could hit it. I mean, it might just laugh at you,
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe with that, if I look at it some more, maybe I'll come around to it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to talk you into it. And we've
No,
had this
no, I
discussion before.
get it.
It's not too
I mean,
bad. That's
I've
fine.
had fun with Dragonbane. I don't think I could do a campaign in Dragonbane.
And that's too bad because I disagree
like,
with that. I think
short 5 or 6 sessions, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything more than that, like I don't know. I don't know if there's enough there for me. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if Ducato comes down and runs something.
For all of Sweden, there's plenty
Load the car up.
in Dragonbane.
Yeah,
It became one of my favorite games, honestly.
Yeah,
Like I was surprised by it. Like we started playing it. A friend of mine offered to run it, and I was like, yeah. And I was kind of new to his group, and man, I don't know. I kind of fell in love with it. Like
I did too. Yep.
One of my favorite games. Like I don't have and I ran it, and I didn't have a need to house rule anything, and just a way, and it just plays so smoothly. That's the thing I like is you just play, and it. My friend, he said this to me one time because he runs Crossroad Games at my local game store, and we were talking about games and stuff, and his thing was like the hallmark of a good game is that the rules don't get in the way of the play.
Yes.
And because some games you're tripping over yourself trying to like, I got to figure this out.
Exactly what George was talking about last week with the rules that contradict each other, and he's like, and players like, well, what about this? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. So Dragonbane for me is like, but there's tons of games I love, like, but I really like ones that I've actually played. Dragonbane is right at the top of the list.
Yeah. And Crossroads Games. If you're ever in Maine, check out Crossroads.
Great
Games.
store, Southern Maine.
Nice
Go to
shop.
Crossroads.
Yeah.
Nice your reaction to Dragonbane, I had the exact same reaction, and I had the same reaction to the One Ring. I
haven't played that yet. I have it, but I have not played it.
I felt like I was in Lord of the Rings, and
the books are awesome. They're beautiful.
Yeah,
but that's a Free League hallmark anyway.
Yep,
like
sure is.
Extremely they kill it with every book. Doesn't matter what they do. Like
maybe we should do a Free League. Maybe we should do a Free League episode.
Yeah, we should.
We should talk about all the Free League.
I got a shelf full. I'd love to talk about.
So do I. I'm gonna have 2 shelves now with this new base.
You guys will have to take the lead on that one, though. I think you guys have more information on the Free League stuff than I do.
Yeah, and I kicked the back door in with the Morkborg stuff. So,
my very first Dragonbane campaign, we used Dragonbane, but we played in the pirate board setting, and it was awesome. That book's I bought that. That's the only Morkborg book I own is pirate board, because the book.
It's probably the best one. It's the only. It's the only one that is legible.
It's definitely in the top 3. Even if you do own a lot of Morkborg stuff.
It's pretty good.
Never played it. Never played the system. I would.
So me, Ducato, Jason, we kind of talked about a little our kind of final thoughts. George, you got any final thoughts on XP or what your go-to XP system is?
XP systems, similar to what Jason was saying, they really don't matter to me. I think it's more about what works well for your group, and that's across the board with any system, or what do you want out of the game for your players, and what do you want out of the game for yourself as the CK judge, whatever you want to be, because that's what really matters anymore. Sticking to the rules like we used to, or I did. I thought for a long time being a good DM was knowing all the rules, and that's no longer the case. It's about having fun with your players.
Yeah.
We play games because they're fun. So
yeah, fantastic. Joe, any last thoughts on experience or?
Yeah, I think when you're new to a system, seeing how many things you have to kill or challenges you have to overcome, you get the guideline, and you be your own man and just milestone level it. When you're the DM, you decide everything else. Why not decide when people level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let someone else tell you when your players level.
Yeah. I know you mentioned in the chat, in our chat here, the Arduin Kickstarter, the Arduin's Portal to Adventure, they're almost at 25,000, and they've hit. I think, did they hit all of their stretch goals?
Yeah, their third one was at 20,000. So
the third one's at 20,000. All right, and they haven't added anymore.
And they have like 24 days left, so they smashed through it really.
Oh, they definitely smashed through it. I am definitely all in, I believe. Where am I here?
The stuff looks awesome on that Kickstarter. Like really, like, I mean, I'm new to old like school games, but it looks very old school, looks very professional.
Yeah, I went all the way. I went all the way to the bottom here, and I'm in at the 210.
Yep, same here. Backer number
pledge.
2.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah.
So
until midnight, waiting for it to go live.
Yeah. So
sign it on to eBay.
I definitely back that. I can't wait to see that and get that stuff. That stuff's awesome.
Yeah, and the stretch goals are like free minis too. So like, I mean, most of the time you not to put anyone down, but you back to Kickstarter, it's like, oh, you get a little extra chart, you get one extra page or something in the book. But this is like,
they're pretty generous dudes. So
they're great.
Crazy. Yeah.
Those guys are great. The Arduin guys. Yeah. Emperor's Choice, Death Angel Shadow. This is for the Arduin Kickstarter. It's 3 things, right? It's the Arduin box set, which is the original. I think it's reprints the original stuff.
Yeah.
The Lost Dungeon of Tannisburg, which is Griff Morgan. And then Barrows and Borderlands, which I'm definitely into, which is like an OD&D clone that is sort of a post-apocalyptic
there you go.
type of thing.
Okay, it's
post-apocalyptic Gonzo thing. So
yeah, it's backwards, but you get the idea.
Yeah, hang on a second. There we go.
There you go.
There you go.
If you go to Kickstarter, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I posted the link.
Cool. Good.
Link there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and if you get all the stuff, it comes in like a nice little collector box, and I mean, what more could you really ask for?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just don't tell her. I don't know. That's bad advice.
And they're local.
Always
they're
let your wife know. No.
Never tell the
horrible advice.
Mine might be watching. I gotta,
What's this $200 charge on the credit card? It's a thing that I got.
Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Yeah, and that's like my wife is fantastic. I'm not saying that just because she might be watching, but she knows like the RPG world is like, that's what I'm into and that's my thing. And she also, I think, knows that a lot of this stuff holds their value or goes up. So, she's kind of got a life insurance policy.
That white box of his is worthless. So when Roger kicks the bucket, I'm just going to come over and I'll toss it out.
I think it's been a couple times where Jason's been over and said, okay, now, Gene, when he dies, this one here, this one here, this one here, these are the ones that you can sell to me.
No one else will want them.
The TSR Legends and Lore that is in beautiful condition.
But yeah. Worthless.
A handful of just give it to me and I'll take care of it for you.
But yeah, so there's so there's that. That's kind of part of it. But Griffin, there may be another hardcover reprint in the future too. Oh, okay, cool. For Tannisburg or for something else. So that's interesting. I got to talk to Griff. I haven't talked to Griff in a while. So, but Griff is cool. He helped out a lot when I first started the convention up. So I talked to him for a couple hours. But yeah, so I guess that's our episode on mostly XP. We probably were I don't know 70-30
Yeah, we did all right.
XP everything else, which is better than half, and not so I'm
Right.
proud of us. Next week, I know George. We were talking before the stream last week about what makes a good game. As far as like, is it the GM? Is it the players? Is it the story? Is it the system? You know, all of that. And, you know, is it how stylish the GM is? You know, things like that. And so I think that's what we're going to talk about next Tuesday. If you guys want to join, you're more than welcome to, and you know,
Yeah.
we'll go from there. But I think that'd be a fun discussion. You know, we started to talk about it, but I think that's something that would be, I think, great on stream. So plan on doing that next Tuesday. Same
great.
time, same channel. Thanks everybody for coming. I guess I gotta say, you know, click the like button and, you know,
All 5
subscribe,
of you, make sure you do that.
and all of that. You know, gotta make sure.
It's for the algorithm.
Just start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere. Just
That's
click the like button. Don't smash it. We don't want anybody breaking their mouse buttons. Just gently click it. All right. We don't have to smash it. But thanks everybody for coming, and thank you guys for joining me. And
Thanks. That was awesome.
we'll yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great time.
And, I guess we'll talk to you guys next week. We'll
See you then.
later.
Hey guys.